Hello everybody and welcome to Texas Speed and Performance. So I know usually you guys can come in for a tour in person. This year unfortunately it's not looking like that's going to happen, so we want to give you the second best thing here and give you a little tour around the shop and the facility of what we do. So just a little tidbit here of information. We're basically, the biggest manufacturer and supplier of aftermarket performance parts to the GM V8. So we started with the LS and now the new LT generation. We do everything from building the engines to cylinder heads, camshafts, selling individual parts, rods, pistons, all that stuff. We can build one of these from the ground up, and we are actually the first people to build one of the new C8 Corvette engines. So we built one for a girl out in California. She actually hurt the engine throwing some nitrous on it, so we fixed it up for her, sent it back, and that's the first built one for the new C8. So let's get into it, get inside, and give you guys a little tour. All right, everyone, so here we are inside. Here in the lobby, we just keep a lot of the display items we take to events and all that stuff. Just different parts we manufacture and machine here in-house to show a little bit of what we do when we go to all these different events and races. We like to take a little bit, of variety so people can not only see what the cars can do, but also see what parts we have inside the cars. Okay, and we'll start with the engine room over here. I know it's one of the favorites of most people, so we'll start off with the cam unit. Okay guys, so this is where once everything's all cleaned and machined up and everything, they bring it in here for assembly. We have multiple builders. They each look after one job. Lots of opportunities in the automotive industry these days. And, just in this business alone, there's a huge variety of different jobs to be done daily. We have about 80 employees here, doing everything from taking online orders to building the engines in here. So huge amount of different jobs to be had. Alright, so I think that pretty much shows you guys around the engine build room. Now, next we'll head out into the machine shop. So on this end of the shop is mainly cylinder heads. So right here, most of these in this pile are going to be customer supplied. So something they've taken off their own vehicle, they've sent into us, we've cleaned and everything. Right here, they're going to go through the whole boarding process and all that. And then from here, they get all the sides cut, they get cleaned again, just to make sure there's no material or anything in them. And then they head back to the customer. As we work our way over here, these are a bunch of our aftermarket castings. So we have designed this casting and we have it poured here in the US at a foundry out on the East Coast. And then they come into us and we fully machine them. So we'll get to see a raw casting here in a minute. But these right here are part of the way through the process. They haven't had that port work done. It looks like they're in for a valve job over here with Nick. Let's hop in and see if we can check out what he's doing. Looks like he just got a head set up here on this machine. So what this does here is the valve job. So it's a CNC valve job machine. We do 5-angle valve jobs on the intake and a radius exhaust. So it's the way it flows the best, and we want the best flow, so that's what we do here. So it'll go through there. It doesn't take it very long at all. 45 seconds, a minute maybe per valve job, and it just runs its way through. We set them up like this so we can just, quick get through, get all the intakes done, switch it to the other machine and do the exhaust. Not as much, swapping over sizing and getting it all dialed in. It's just ready to go. Okay, so here's 3 different steps to the process. So here's one of those raw castings like I was telling you guys about. So you can see there's no holes or anything drilled in this, anything like that. It's just completely raw as it came from the foundry. So there's excess material to be cut off and everything. We actually use that to clamp down in the machines to start the operation. So then we come to the second step here, and so you can see these are still on there. That's how it's been bolted down, but it's drilled a bunch of the holes, it's machined some of the chambers, things like that have been achieved. So now we can bolt it down in the machine and cut these ears off. So this is the final process here. This one here would be after it's already done. It's already been fully machined, ported, valve jobbed and everything. You guys can take a close look here at the differences. Alright, well this machine stopped. We'll show you around inside it a little bit. So come on over, you can take a look. So this is a fixture we've had made. You can see the head goes on here and they bolt it on so it can do all the milling and stuff. Here's one of the tools here. They can change themselves with the whole carousel of tools up here. Okay, so here is one of the bins where all the aluminum shavings that come off of our heads come into. So we do recycle all this material. Some people ask if we melt it down and reuse it here. We don't have a foundry. That stuff's all done, here in the U.S., but out of house. So we just take all this, send it to recycling, and do our part. Okay, so one of the final steps we do after the heads have gone through porting, the valve job, all that stuff machined, they come here and go to one of these gentlemen right here, and they go through and make sure everything's perfectly smooth. There's no, tool marks or anything like that from the CNC machines. Everything looks perfect, smooth, and it's all going to flow well. So a little hand touch here at the end. Okay, and these three CNC lathes right here are turning out the retainers for our spring kit. So they take a titanium bar stock and they turn it into these retainers right here. So you can see this is a dual spindle lathe, so it can cut the front side and the back side all in one operation, and then it just dumps them out here. So these things are running pretty much 24 hours a day. As you can see here, this is a bar feeder, so you feed all the bars in here and it can just keep feeding this machine all night. Alright, now on this very end of the shop, all this is devoted to engine building. So a lot of machining goes into blocks. Maybe people think you just buy the parts and slap them together, but just about every part, including the rods, all that, needs to be machined properly first before being installed in the engine. So these machines right here do most of the block work. So they're going to do all the boring, the decking. They cut the holes for the bigger head studs if somebody does decide to go with an upgraded head stud for more clamping force. They take care of all that here. Once it comes out of the machines, it heads to one of these stations over here, which is still continuing the machining process, but we have a separate machine specifically for honing the bores that's a little more accurate, a little more precise than these machines. And then we hone where the crank goes, the line honing it's called, so we make sure that that bore is perfectly smooth as well for the crankshaft. And then as well as the rods, like I was saying before. So we hone out all the holes on the rods to make sure they're perfectly round and aren't going to wear the crankshaft or the piston pin in a weird way. Okay, so right here we're having the very beginnings of one of our re-sleeve blocks. So we take a factory GM block and we cut the factory sleeves out, and it is actually a cutting process. So the machine can cut about a ½ inch out in one pass. It's pretty incredible. Cut the factory sleeves out, and then what we do is finish the machining process from there. Push our new hardened sleeves in, much thicker, much stronger material. They hold up to about, roughly, I would just say for a quick guess, 400 to 500 more horsepower than a factory block would. There's not as much shifting and moving around as a factory aluminum block would have with the factory sleeve. So as you guys can imagine, this process creates a lot of heat. That liquid you're seeing pour down onto the block is a lubricant and coolant. So it's really slick, but it also helps keep it cool. You know what the kind of heat that would create? Cutting out a ½ inch of steel in one pass, pretty insane, but this machine takes care of it all. Alright, so these two machines here are cam grinders. These are some of the most expensive machines we have in the building. Not many companies grind their own camshafts in-house. A lot of companies that are labeling them as their own are having them, ground elsewhere. But we decided about 5 or 6 years ago to bring cam grinding in-house so we could quality control every step of the way. And these are the two machines here that do it. We started off with an older machine, got used to it, got the hang of it, got rid of that one, and got two of the newest state-of-the-art machines available in here and set up ready to go. So basically the camshaft would sit here right in this trough to hold it. Basically it clamps it on down, moves it over here to the grinding wheel. This is what does all the work. So it's not CNC cut with tools like the other machine. This is more of a grinding process. So that wheel, stays in the perfect conditions to smooth up all the lobes and get them ground perfectly. This machine can grind a cam in about 10 minutes, so it's pretty quick, extremely accurate. These are two of the hardest machines to keep dialed into perfection, and of course, we check the cams after they come out of here to make sure that everything is perfect. Down to the point where we even cut some of the cams open to look at the heat treatment. So you guys can see here, if you look close, the line there is how far the heat treatment penetrated into the material. Alright, we'll take you guys in here where we keep some of the projects, kind of the fun room, as well as the rotating assembly balancer. Okay, so the stuff I know you guys all are excited about and want to see, the cars. So this is just 3 of the vehicles we have. We have around about 5 or 6 projects going at any given point. This here is just kind of a street project, started as just a stock, 97 truck. And we've, done complete frame modifications. It's 4-linked. It's got aftermarket A-arms and coilovers all the way around on the coilovers. aftermarket A-arms in the front. It's got a 2018 engine and transmission out of a truck that, leaving GM, the train derailed and totaled all the vehicles. We got the drivetrain out of it. We have so many race cars, we thought it'd be fun to have a street project, and this was what we chose. So you can see here, obviously everything's not complete. There's still a couple wires hanging around and stuff. This thing does run and drive everything. We've been testing it on the streets now for about a month. Yeah, so it looks pretty solid in there. I think it looks clean. Engine looks like it was made to be in there. So the wiring harness and everything, one of our guys here, Joseph Potak, did the entire wiring harness. This is a newer style engine, direct injected. Not a lot of swaps going on with these yet. So it took a lot of work to get this in here, about a month and a half of wiring. Everything's mated perfectly. All the factory gauges work, the check engine light, everything works as if this engine came in the truck. So really cool project. It's taken a lot of time, a lot of our spare time, because we got a lot of stuff going around here, as you guys can see. So this kind of just gets neglected and put aside, and we throw a few hours of wrenching on it when we get a chance. And these are two of our race cars here. So this one we used for the development of the heads cam packages for the LT1 engine, the engine that came factory in this Camaro. So this Camaro has the record for stock bottom end, heads cam intake only. So it was the stock LT1, 6.2 bottom end. We did our heads, one of our custom cams, and then this is actually a 3D printed prototype intake, and it did set the world record with these parts, so it's pretty cool to have this. We did this as well with the 4th and 5th gen Camaros, which we still have but aren't here at this time. This one up top is the one we raced the most. It's a twin turbo 427 we built, ultra fast. Car ran about 7.6 in the quarter mile. You can see the suspension's all off of it right now. We're working on getting it all dialed in, so next time we get it back to the track we can get a little bit harder of a launch out of it. But yeah, so now that we got the toys out of the way, let's head over here and take a look at rotating assemblies. So over here they do all the balancing of rotating assemblies. So they get the crank in here, they got to weigh the rods and pistons, each end of the rod, to know where the weight's going to be as far as how far out from the crank. And then they can sit here on these machines that tells them where to drill, and they go ahead and drill weight out. If they have to add weight, they'll drill a hole and add a more dense material in there to add weight to the throw of the crank. Okay, so this is where a lot of the testing and development goes on. So we do have a chassis dyno as well to strap cars onto, but something like this is more accurate. We can pinpoint more things as we're developing cams. Obviously, it's easier to switch parts while it's just sitting in there on the stand. So right now what we're going through is some Hemi testing. So we're testing the new Hemi truck engines and developing camshafts and heads for them right now. Looks like the last pull laid down about 501 horsepower. It's going to be a stock engine with just our cam in it. I believe that's going to be the stage 4. So it's really good to see those kind of gains with cam only. Okay, so now we're in the warehouse. Hey, I know it looks like the machine shop. Some of it has spilled over into the warehouse. We're running out of room. It's a great thing for Georgetown. We're building a new huge facility right down the street. We're going to be hiring a lot more people. Just since I've worked here in about the last 4.5 years, we've gained about 40 people to the team. So we're always looking for new, fresh people in here, and we're always needing people. I mean, we got a lot of equipment and a lot of parts leaving this place. So let's go take a look around a little bit more at a few of these machines, and then we'll get into the warehouse a little deeper. Okay, so this machine here, it's a couple different machines, but we have these set up mainly to work on our intake manifolds. So this is a new intake manifold we just recently released. It's really cool. We got it on a lot of builds already, making big power. So it's cool to see it finally come together all the way from, here's one of the raw castings we've had powder coated, and then you can see them coming through the machining process just like the cylinder head. So here's the lid over here for it. They're done in 2 different pieces, as you can see on the box, 2-piece manifold, and you can even sandwich an intercooler in between if you're running a boosted application. So let's take a look at this machine right here. So this part of the machine is actually a pallet system. So you see the parts sitting up there way high. So you can load this machine up at night, it'll store all the parts up top, and as needed it can take them down and feed the machine, take the old part out and store it. So basically these machines can run 24 hours a day. This pallet system alone can handle 7 machines. So in our new shop, we have 3 of these currently, and we'll have a 4th. We'll have all 4 in a row, and this machine will be able to feed all of them. Okay guys, so this leads us to the warehouse. This is where we store all the parts. We try and keep as much stuff in stock as we can, because obviously when people want it, they want it now. So they don't want to call in and hear, hey, we got to get it from the manufacturer, it's going to take a few weeks. We want those parts to be able to ship out that same day or the next. So that's what you see back here, a huge amount that's taken, you know, years to stock up and find out what the industry's looking for and wants quickly. So that's what you guys are seeing here. For example, this aisle is all rotating assemblies. So here we have bearings, pistons all the way down to that next aisle, and then it's going to be crankshafts. Rods are up top. So a lot of different parts in here so we can get stuff going quickly. All right guys, glad you could come for a tour. Thanks for stopping by. It's getting close to lunch. I'm getting hungry. Time to get out of here. See you guys later.